Welcome to Diz and Hers, the show about what's happening in the Disney community from his, hers, and your perspective. I'm Eric.
And I'm Lauren. This week, we're diving into two sides of the modern Disney experience. First, we're talking about the worst guest behavior in the parks, the entitlement, the awkward moments, and the things that quietly drive cast members nuts. Then we're shifting to the other end of the spectrum and taking a look at the world of Disney influencers, the nicest creators, how they actually make a living covering the parks, and what it really takes to turn Disney fandom into a career.
All right, Lauren. So I think we start off with some of the worst. You know, they often ask you, do you want your bad news or good news? And I think a lot of people like to take the bad news first. I think that's a common trend when you ask people stuff. So I thought it would be fun to kind of look online and see some of the worst guest behaviors. We've been influenced by, I think, countless TikTok and YouTube videos of like, these guests should be kicked out of the park and watching some ridiculous things.
Oh my gosh, I sent Eric like 1,000 of these because I don't know with your algorithms on Reels or TikTok, but once you see one, it's just like that is all that you're getting is bad guest behavior.
Yeah, and so what I went online and I just found some of the Reddit comments. I think that was the one. So Lauren and I have seen our fair share of poor behavior, but I don't know if it's been get kicked out of the park or noteworthy to, bring onto the podcast and give us our little stories of, all right, this person cut line or this person was screaming at their kid or so forth. So, but online you can find some really, really good and fun conversations in which we can share. So I found a Reddit forum that was, what's the weirdest thing you have ever seen someone do or ask at Walt Disney World? So this was Groundbreaking Bear 63, and this was a couple years ago. So we have some doozies over the last years. So the Groundbreaking Bear just kind of asks, hey, we've seen lots of magical moments and we've seen all types of fun, wonderful things, but what's the weirdest thing you've seen? So I grabbed some of the thread, and I think this had hundreds of comments, lots of upvotes, all types of fun, interesting comments, but I grabbed some of the fun ones here that we can look at, and we just want to know, have you seen something weirder, right? Is this the weirdest thing you've ever seen? Lauren, were there any comments that you kind of thought that was interesting?
I was just looking at this one and I had to laugh. It says it was deleted, but I don't know how we still see it. It says, I wouldn't say the weirdest question, but maybe timing. I was watching the Janitors Jam when a guest walked up to them right in the middle of their performance and asked where the restroom was. Like, he didn't look like he was busy.
No, just this is what happens. When you hear Disney magic, you just obviously think, yes, all custodial help is also just playing on, it's just a normal part of their day. When they don't have any garbage to pick up, they're just playing the drums on their garbage cans. So, there was another one that says, I saw someone walking into Animal Kingdom holding a bag of Eggland's best hard-boiled eggs. No backpack or anything else, just rocked up with a large bag of hard-boiled eggs. They said the image still haunts them. And yes, I think if I saw somebody that is their snack, I guess maybe that was their meal, but that's an odd thing to take into a park. I'd almost feel like they're feeding animals, and that's not allowed.
No, like if you had like a bag of like 2 boiled eggs, I get it. But like if you got like a whole like dozen, like a baker's dozen or something going on, I don't know about that. It's actually kind of refreshing. Thank you, Reddit, for continuing to deliver in the comment section of, things are just weird and not like disruptive. I mean, I think that we see a lot of that aggressive behavior in the parks because people are spending so much money and they feel like this is a once in a lifetime and they have to experience it all. And then I just envision the guy rolling up with like a bag of hard-boiled eggs, living his best life.
Yeah,
that's the side of Disney I want to like hang out
right.
on.
Give me all the weirdos. They're probably like, hey, this guy here is just taking tons of video of this one thing and not moving. What is this guy doing? And that's me, like essentially being a
For
weirdo.
The D-roll.
Yeah, the good old D-roll is what we call it. Just getting a waterfall, just sitting there for 15 seconds and moving on. There was another one. We were having a dinner at Kona Cafe last fall while staying at the Poly. And 2 women, older, maybe late 50s, were sitting at the table next to us discussing The Golden Bachelor, which I'm not familiar with, but I assume it's the Golden Bachelor. I have no idea what that is. I'm guessing it's like Bachelor, but older people. They were talking about it on TV. The conversation got really heated with one woman rooting for one contestant, the other rooting for another. One of them burst into tears and started screaming, I want what is right for Jerry! Exclamation point. I want is right for him. Everyone was staring. Pretty weird. And I would love. There's nothing more fun and awkward in a sense than seeing some of these weird outbursts that would happen.
All right, I got one more. This one's about a gorilla. Okay, it says we were at Animal Kingdom and there was a gorilla near the glass and the trainer was answering questions for the kids about gorillas. And a woman in her 40s walks up and says, "What size shoes does it wear?" And the trainer's like, "Well, he doesn't wear shoes. He's a gorilla." And the woman's like, "But what if he did?" And the trainer was like, "Well, a gorilla's feet are more similar to hands, so you would have to design a shoe to be like a glove." And the woman perplexed says, "Okay." And then the kid starts asking normal questions about gorillas. And the woman interrupts and says, "Well, then what size gloves would he wear?"
Hey, it is a curious question.
I bet cast members see it all. I bet they see it all.
Yeah. And here's the last one I got from this thread. It's about 15 years ago. We were at Magic Kingdom with their whole family. Grandma had a scooter and was coming down the hill, maybe a Frontierland. It was not 100% sure where it was, but the hill had a little bit of a curve. She came around the turn too fast, sharp, and ran straight into a trash can, totaling it. Just annihilating a trash can. A cast member came to help clean up, and they brought out a new trash can, and they say they often have to replace the trash cans for similar incidents. So there's always runaway scooters. Thankfully, in this case, nobody was hurt, at least we know of, but lots of dented and beat up trash cans. I would love to have a Walt Disney World trash can here in the house, and whether it has a dent or not, but I'm not surprised about that.
No, and I mean, like, how many times have you heard people or seen posts of people breaking their feet because a scooter runs over their toes? I mean, they're heavy, so it doesn't surprise me that it would destroy a trash can. Yes, I see on here you noted public urination at the theme parks, and I mean, that is like every other post or video that we see. I mean, like, if you want to know where people have peed at Disney World, outside of the Disney World, Disneyland, outside of the bathrooms, it's everywhere, just so you know. And I saw a flight attendant yesterday that was like, if you're in the bathroom on an airplane and like people don't wear their shoes, they're like, that is not water. So just keep that in mind.
That's fun.
Yeah. But my favorite urination story comes from our friend Jenny Potts. And this was years ago. I mean, probably 10 years ago at this point. But she was so excited that they got stuck on Pirates, and then you kind of get to see the behind the scenes, the backstage areas. But I think she said it was like 45 minutes on a boat, and a little boy stood up, pulled down his pants, and peed right in the boat that she was in. And that, yeah, can you imagine?
And then I hate to say this, but I watched a recent YouTube video of people that were like, "We're trying the water. Does it taste like?" Oh yeah. So yeah, and you have there's a lot of people.
Coke, like
that's what it was.
It was
water. Yeah. So
gross.
Just be aware that is not. I'm sure it's chlorinated in some way, but I would not go that far. And yeah,
please don't drink the water at Splash Mountain. Please don't.
Don't drink the water anywhere that's not from a water fountain, and then that's sometimes questionable. So bring bottled water. So we kind of looked at. There's a whole bunch of bad guests behaving. You can see all types. It's typically those that are getting off rides when they're not supposed to, not listening to the cast members, and getting into
the naked guy at Small World.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get 100% why this stuff happens, but yeah, if you get a lot of people together and you're dealing with lots of people over time, it's just a numbers game where you're going to have some people going a little off the wall. But it does seem
can I
like
tell you one more real quick, Eric?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were at Animal Kingdom and Flight of Passage had just opened? So Miles, our little guy, was like a baby at the time, and I spent hours and hours in the baby center. And so we were in the baby center, and I'll make a really long story short, but there were these two little boys in there with us, and they were just sweet. They were probably like maybe 4 and 7 maybe. And so we kind of get to talking, and then we see cast members coming in and out and in and out and whatever. So it turned out the grandma brought these little boys to the park because she wanted to go on Flight of Passage. But if you remember how long those lines were in the beginning when they opened, they were like hours long. And so the grandma left the little boys at the front of the attraction, and because the little boys weren't big enough to ride it. And so they just started wandering around, and a cast member found them, and then the grandma ended up getting arrested.
Yeah, that was there's probably more of that poor judgment and poor decision making by adults that go on. And so you'll probably hear, and there's lots of forums out there and lots of videos, like I said. So go out there if you want to see some guests behaving badly. Plenty to do that. But I kind of like the weird. I kind of wanted to hear what some of the weird situations. But I did find a video while I was searching for this, and it was from Castle Compass over on YouTube, and they have about 8,000 subscribers, and this video popped pretty good. I think it had about 40,000 views in maybe like a week or a month's time, and it was 15 things Disney World cast members secretly hate. Now, I don't think we're going to go through all 15, but I thought it would be interesting to talk about some of these items because we're talking about bad guests, and of course, who has to deal with these bad guests? Besides, we kind of have to see it from a distance, but we don't have to like enforce anything. But these poor cast members do have to deal with this. So off the get-go, Lauren, there's about 15 of them. I feel like you pick and choose a couple that mean something to you, and we can discuss.
Let's see here. I like I'm just gonna go at the top of the list of guests just expecting pixie dust because they saw it online. And so I'm sure that cast members absolutely hate this. Like that is, their whole mantra is creating happiness. And I do feel like pre-pandemic there was more pixie dust happening, but I guess what people are doing now is demanding discounts, upgrades, free items, and they're just being really entitled about it. So of course that would probably get under anybody's skin. And I mean, like think about how many people go to the parks. Like pixie dust is not a guarantee.
I mean, half the people there are probably there on a birthday or celebrating anything. There's pins everywhere. So like just because it's your birthday doesn't necessarily mean like, hey, we're going to give you free everything. Now, you can play it correctly. Like for instance, when it's Miles' birthday, it's his birthday the whole week and he's wearing a pin and he's wearing a hat. We're not asking for anything, but we do know that if you go to enough places and interact with enough cast members, you might end up getting a free cupcake somewhere. It just happens, right?
And the thing also is like, for all, I mean, Miles is at least a little kid, it makes them feel really good and special because the cast members will say like, happy birthday,
Sure.
or like, how old are you? Like, so it's not just about the pixie dust for us. It's literally like just making sure he feels so loved and so special on his birthday week.
Yeah, the birthday week, sometimes month. It depends on how long we go. But the one that caught my eye, which is super important for me, is the spoiling character magic for kids. I'm very cautious about friends of and those that are in the park that I feel are super magical. So for those, this is your fair warning. We're going to slightly veer into a topic, but when guests themselves try to ruin the magic of our friends, I am not a big fan of that. And I can only imagine cast members don't like that either because yes, there's somebody getting paid to do this stuff. There is a element of magic that we need to embrace and keep. As a guest, like screaming out and telling kids or this or that is just inappropriate in many ways. And I think everybody can read through the line between the lines to understand, like, yeah, just because it's not something you want to believe in or do, it's not your right to take it away from others. So I think that is a big no-no and would drive me nuts if I was a cast member.
I agree. Like, I don't think you mess with that. Like, this is people's like magical vacation. They're in the bubble. Like, don't be a jerk.
And I have elaborate stories of how, I know how Mickey gets from the parade float back to where he meets you in town square. Like I know the route and I've explained it to my kids many, many times of how that happens. I'm like, yeah, he just makes it happen. They're really efficient. They go in the utilidor, they can get him out there. So that's why he can be there in a couple seconds time later. So I have elaborate, and I think that's what everybody should do. You should have these queued up and ready to answer.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I have a personal tie to this one too. Insisting on rule expectations and arguing about policy. So height rules, closures, cutoffs, barriers exist for, safety and fairness. Just accept no without a scene. Eric, do you remember that woman, like at one of our first visits, that tried to take her infant on Big Thunder Mountain?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking months
We
old,
have
if that.
seen it all.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, but arguing about like, hey, if the kid isn't tall enough, and I don't get me wrong, there's been some times where we've taken our kid to Space Mountain, and the one time we went in the trip, they were tall enough, and the second time they weren't tall enough, and it was a matter of what shoes were. But like, why are we going to argue about it? It is what it is. I understand that. And if you're on the brink and close enough, you should have already had that conversation with your kid saying, hey, I don't know, man, we might be able to do it today. But arguing with a cast member about that kind of stuff is pointless. They're not just going to change their mind because they decide that, oh, you argued a good point here.
Yeah. Okay, I got one more. So because this is personal to me because I want that too. The Disney Consumer Product Podcast with Jim and hoarding limited edition merch pirates. Like, be respectful. Like the cast members also do not like this because they have to deal with the angry guests that cannot get what they want. So it becomes their problem. And we watched a video. We were literally watching like a long form video of just people behaving badly. Do you remember that guy, like literally in the Emporium, like screaming at the top of his lungs at a cast member? Like, we don't want that for our cast member friends.
No,
Like,
we
please just be
don't need
respectful.
that anywhere. This is not just Disney. Just be like a decent human being. Don't scream at people. I do have one that I will say that I don't agree with, and that is hogging resort pool chairs. I just feel like it's first come, first serve. And the fact is you need a pool chair and you're not going to be sitting in it often because you're in a pool. So that is one of those where I'm like, the rope droppers get it. And as long as you're still utilizing that facility, I'm not saying go back to your room and keep that chair, but that is the one that I will argue with is I don't agree with. Whether the cast members like it or not, these pool chairs, you get there early, you put your towel down, and that is yours. What do you think? Is that worth arguing with me over?
I don't know. I see both sides. I think that sometimes you have to play the game. But what I do not like is if you have 3 people and you're taking up like a whole row of, chairs or just, taking more than you need. The same thing is like the merch. Like if you have 3 people or if you have kids with you and they're not going to be sitting at the chairs, like just try to be cognizant of others. But I mean, like we all do it, right? Like you go there and you're like looking around for but then people leave. That's also the annoying thing. People leave and like they don't take their towels.
That's
and
the
then
problem. That's what you just got.
Yeah.
That's the etiquette. Like I don't agree with that. I'm just saying when you leave and you're done, get that and put it in the towel return. So either way, there's 15 of these. Go check out Castle Compass and watch there's even more that you can talk about. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Watch the video. Tell us what your thoughts are. This is a great conversation point to see, well, like, what are some of the worst things? If you're a cast member, what the heck do you hate? We won't give your identity.
Yeah,
You can
or
be
you're
anonymous.
just with other guests in the park. Like, what do you hate,
Right. Well, all right. So let's take a break here. But coming up after this break, we're going to take a look at our favorite Disney content creators. Not only do we find out who the nice ones are, but we also give you a breakdown of how they're making a living covering the parks. But first, this.
All right. So Disney influencers have been pretty prominent for the last 15 plus years. Many of us are bigger fans and know far more about the parks because we're finding normal people like you and I covering the theme parks. So we stumbled upon this interesting Reddit thread a while ago that had us wondering, who are the nicest Disney influencers? And Eric, as usual, you've done some digging. You went down the scroll hole of the interwebs. What did you find?
Well, I think it was actually kind of a difficult because I remember us falling into the trap of like having a thread out there that people were talking about and saying, oh, these were nice, these weren't so nice, kind of. And I was trying to find that. So like you type in nicest Disney influencers online and you really don't find that thread. You can find, it's almost all who are the best, which is totally
I
different.
can't remember where I saw the original one. Remember I was telling you about
Yeah.
it and I was
Oh, yeah.
like, maybe
Well,
it
I
was
did
a
find it. I had to
video.
scroll through it because you find it on the best and the worst. So what happens is people are giving their comments on like who are the best that cover the parks or who are the best to do this. But I kind of wanted to see who are the people that are approachable and the content creators that are actually like worth talking to or worth following. Because I kind of believe, I don't know. I just want these people to be the nice people that they are, showing themselves on camera. Like, I love to meet somebody that is, oh, that's the exact same person that I see on camera all the time. Because we have met some that are different. There's a red light and they are jolly and happy. And then when the red light's not off, they're a little cold. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. If this is their job or this is their persona, but I kind of like it when it matches and meets in the middle. So I did find
Especially
I scrolled
for kids too, though. Like, if my kid like watches you on YouTube and like they want to come up and say hello, like, please be nice to my child.
Yeah, well, that's the key. Or just be nice in general. But that's also saying that we're also being nice, because these are still people that are doing their own thing. But you put yourself on the internet, you put yourself in a situation. If you want to be an influencer, then you're going to be approached. But I did find the Reddit forum. This was from 3 years ago. It's on the Walt Disney World. It's Popcorn7825, which is the best and worst Disney influencers you have met in the parks. And this is the one that you and I were talking about. So in general, you go through this forum and there are 294 comments, and I went through and read most of them. There are going to be some positive negatives. I'm not necessarily going to negatives. I'm only going to speak negative of people that I've met, because I am a believer in, like, you treat people how they treat you. And if somebody was mean to me, I would be more than fair to say, hey, this person was a jerk. Luckily for me, the influencers that I've met in person have all seemed to be pretty jolly, but you can go to this thread and kind of see it yourself. But I wanted to kind of see what the overall theme was. And I will tell you, after reading this, I don't know and actually don't watch his content, but Paging Mr. Morrow was absolutely praised in almost all of the comments. I did not see anyone negatively talking about Paging Mr. Morrow. So,
You, Mr. Morrow, like, keep it up. Keep shining your light.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, like, I didn't even know who Mr. Morrow. So I believe his name is Nate, right? Lauren, have you watched any of his stuff?
1000%. Like, one of my favorite was it was like a bunch of Disney influencers got together. It was like the Avengers, and they were just going to the resorts and stuff. But I think we've actually, I mean, you probably didn't notice if you don't watch his content, but I feel like we've seen him in the parks a couple times, maybe at D23. Now, we've never had like a personal interaction with him, but I think the way we found out is our neighbors are also, Disney people, but not like Disney like us, but like Disney. And Josh was talking about Paging Mr. Morrow. So
yeah, he was like, hey, I watched this guy. He's like, I watched this guy. Right. He kind of transcended beyond the hardcore people like us, because I'm able to name lots of the influencers, micro influencers, and people that have channels that maybe only have 2,000, followers and stuff. If they put out good content, I find them. But he's kind of transcended. But here's a couple comments. It's basically, Watch Your Red says, my husband and I went through the Guardians pre-show with Paging Mr. Morrow. He's just as nice and cool as he seems in the videos. Then it goes through and it just says, as a server cast member, I served him once. He was absolutely amazing, positive, and extremely genuine guy. As a guest enjoying Abracadabra, I have run into him twice now, and it was a magical experience every single time. I kind of like, so not only were we getting people that met him in a random queue, but we also have cast members that are saying they're good. I don't know. There was another one that says, Nate is an absolute best human. Be like Nate. So good on you, Nate. I'm going to, because of this, I will check out some of your content like you need my help, but I will give it a try and see what you have. Anything else that you stumbled upon? I think this is the one that you mentioned years ago. I found it.
Are we talking about Len?
Yeah.
Okay, so we all know Len Testa. He is Jim's co-host on the Disney Dish, and I would say Len is kind of like a Disney influencer. Len is like the best community member. If you, like we talked about on our last show, like he's on the forums, he's in the Patreon, like he's just a good guy who like loves to talk about Disney. Like he is a Disney nerd just the way that we are. And so we wanted to see if Len, how he was perceived. And so Fig Newton 555, love the name, said best was Len Testa. Dude was super nice, loves to share his passion for WDW and his projects around it. Few influencers, in air quotes, have materially contributed to the fan community as much as Len over the years. And then you have Your Yoga Mermaid, said one time he bought lunch for dozens of us at Be Our Guest. Apparently, Len is a high roller, too. Look at you, bougie.
Must be, man. I mean, I wonder if that was before when it was like a quick service. I don't know. Either way, I don't
Maybe,
know if
but
they were
I just
friends or
imagine
just.
he's like filet mignon all around.
I just feel like he was like Oprah. Everybody, look under your seats, free meals.
You
And
get a steak. You get a steak. You get a steak. All right. And then it says, that's awesome. We ran into him at Star Tours 2.0 open at a late night fan event, and I just got lucky to get registered for by being on the parks blog at the right time. We were in the loading gates right next to him, and I just wanted to say hi and tell him how much I enjoyed the show and touring plans and then leave him alone. But he really engaged with us. So, again, good on ya, Len Testa, for being a good human being.
That's it. And he is pretty much what you hear on there when you meet him in person. He's cracking jokes and
Oh my
giving
gosh,
that
he's
nerd
like
humor.
so funny. Yeah.
So the other one, Tim Tracker, and I've watched Tim Tracker a lot and so forth, but lots of love in this post. It was every time I met Tim Tracker, he was nice. Majority of the time I met him was not in Walt Disney World. Actually, Knott's, Disneyland a few times, Universal. Only met him once in Epcot. He and Jen have been really nice every time they saw that. So this was an interesting thread because this individual continues to go down the list. They talk about Diz Unplugged. They talk about Ordinary Adventures, has always been nice. They talk about Justin Scard, and then Provis Park Pass, which is funny because I actually met both of them at the opening of Epic. So the few interactions that I've had with people that have, large followings on YouTube. But Justin Scard complimented my shirt, and so did Provis Park Pass, which I didn't even know who he was. We were in the queue for a Frankenstein Experiment, and he's like your shirt. And later on, I met Justin Scard and basically said, hey, Miles, because the kids really love seeing YouTubers. I'm like, hey, there's a YouTuber, and we walked by and said, hey, like your content, so forth, complimented the shirt. So it's pretty funny. Very nice people in person. And because we're talking about all these prolific content creators, would be remiss not to mention that we saw Adam the Woo multiple times in the parks. It was never a spot where it was like, go talk to him. But now I'm like, man, I wish I did.
I was going to say that, like, that's one of Eric's favorite guys who he's been following from the very, very beginning. So sorry to interrupt, but
no. But fun fact. So we're talking about Adam the Woo here. And as if you're not aware, he unfortunately passed away at the very tail end of last year. But I have a pretty funny story with Adam the Woo because at one point in time, I created a blog for my business, and it was basically explaining how people make money by being content creators. I'm a marketing agency, and I used Adam the Woo as the example just because I was watching a lot of his content, and I just thought that was a good example. So one day I just noticed that website traffic just skyrocketed, and I was ranking on the first page for the term Adam the Woo because everybody was trying to figure out stuff about Adam the Woo, and I just so happened had the most thorough blog out there and forever. So I kind of feel linked to Adam for a while because I'm like, yeah, I was using your journey and how you make money per se and explaining to people how this process works and that there is work involved and you do have to look at numbers and you do have to create content consistently and blah, blah, blah. But that gets us into our next topic, which is, I think, a common trend to figure out. All right, we're talking about influencers, we're talking about YouTubers, podcasters, all this stuff, talking Disney. And it's usually a fandom that turns into, oh my goodness, you're doing this for a living. And you and I both have experience. You have more experience working in the influencer marketing space for influencers with brands, so forth. But I know this is just a common thing where people are curious how this works. So I thought, why not give a little intake and explain a little bit? And I know you recently found a content creator out for California that did a really, really good job on it.
oh my gosh, I have to shout out SoCal Disney Dad. It's Trav, I think is his name. So he originally started covering Southern California, maybe San Diego content, and then his Disney content went gangbusters. And Trav is he's a dad. He has 2 little boys and a wife. And so he's done all of the resorts, and obviously I was just watching the spring break lines and everything. So if you're not a subscriber of SoCal Disney Dad, please go find him. He has 79,000 subscribers. But what I love about him is that he just oozes authenticity. And so you really trust what he's saying. Like, at least I do, and I was really surprised to see that he did an entire video. He was sitting in the theme park talking about how he makes money as a YouTuber. He's like, his promise is, "I'm always going to, be transparent with you." And, like, something that he pointed out as far as if you're not familiar how, influencers are making money, there are various channels of how you can make money. But one way that you can make money is like a cost per thousand views on YouTube. So YouTube's going to pay you X dollars for every 1,000 views that you get. And to monetize on YouTube, you have to have 1,000 followers first. And so something that he was saying was like, it's not just how many followers you have, but it's how long you're engaging with the videos. It's completion rate. So there are a lot of levers that you need to pull to really get the most out of monetization. Like he was saying that like the months of December are really hard for him because people are so wrapped up with Christmas and the holidays that he's not getting the views. And so like he started a new channel and was like go over and follow the channel, but if you're not going to actually like watch the videos, then just don't subscribe, because there is a correlation between the number of people that subscribe and how many people actually like watch and engage with the videos. And then the other ways that people make money is through like sponsorships and brand deals. Like again, he's very transparent. Like he'll say, you know, the Marriott comped me this stay, but I'm still going to give you like 100% honest review. And like he did say things that were very helpful. So you could get free like items comp to try to review, or you could just everybody's heard those ad reads, right? Yeah, so those are just some ways that you can make money, and I would gladly support Trav any way that I could. And a lot of people also have Patreon communities so that they can continue to do the work that they do. Sorry, that was a tangent.
No, you're good. Well, I mean, I know you've worked on both sides. We've helped
Yes.
we've helped people grow their audience and make monetization off of that. But you've also worked with the brands finding people, which is interesting. So it is a fun world that we're all kind of interested in. But I also found a Reddit forum that ultimately a year ago, Still Yak 8109 put out there just asking how much influencers are really making. Because that's the curious thing, is money is, you can make money off of it, but is it enough to quit your day job? Is it worth the time and energy that you're putting in? So there were lots of comments, 186 of these, and I kind of went through, and yes, there are, if you kind of boil it all down, there are people that are making six figures. The notable names are doing that. There are also some that you can figure out that are making most of their money probably off like Patreon. There are some that are just 100% hammering out content for, like the live streamers and so forth, that they're just consistent. But then there's also comments that, a lot of the people that are creating stuff aren't actually doing it full time. This is a thing. It might be a side revenue. It might be passive income and so forth. So not everybody that you see online is absolutely making it. But I do have some.
Wait, just to insert there. Like I saw a video from the Mouselets or whatever, and she's an engineer, right? And she was like, I will never, like I could, but I will never like quit my day job for this. So like you have to remember that like you're only getting a snapshot of like what people are doing. So go ahead.
No. I think that's a good point. And I mean, let's be real. Like if this is your hobby and this is the time that you have to do it, you certainly can have a 40-hour job and put out content consistently. That's, that if this is your free time or you have a good system in place. But one thing that I mentioned it on a previous podcast, socialblade.com is probably the best way that if you're very curious on how much an influencer is making and where they rank, you can do that. And that does a really good job for YouTube analytics. And I found a really fun one that actually shows shows you if you have public data for Patreon, it's called graphtreon.com. You can actually see how much each person makes on Patreon. So I pulled up a couple popular ones that we know of. The Mammoth Club kind of shows how many paid members, where they rank in terms, and it tells you how much they're earning per month. So in this case, and who knows how accurate this is, but if the numbers are public, it tells you if they're charting up and down. This was a fun one. They're making $26,000 per month, which is relatively what people were saying in the forums, that they're making about $30K. And then I found one of my favorite online creators is Defunctland, and this is a fun one because it's saying anywhere from $6,000 to $77,000 per month. So it's a wide.
Come on, Social Blade, do better.
No, this is Graphtreon.
$77K for Defunctland.
Yeah, Graphtreon is the one to blame here. So I don't know I don't know exactly how accurate it is, but it's fun to look at this stuff. And we always, lots of people I know that want to create content and do things. I'm always pretty pro do it. Like, why not? What's the worst that's going to happen? But also know it's a grind. It's not going to be you create this thing and automatically you now are paging Mr. Morrow or Defunctland. Like, you have to look how long they've done it. They've put in the work, and we always can use good content out there, but it's not just something that's super easy. But I think that's a good place to end. I would love to know who your favorite Disney influencer is or content creator, and have you met them?
But like Eric said, I think that does it for today's episode of Diz and Hers. For more information, head to dizandhers.com. There you'll find articles, episodes, and updates. And if Disney is your vibe, make sure to subscribe.
And remember, watch what you post online. You might end up in next week's episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.